Bored with leading a peaceful life, a powerful alien decides to abandon Sonic and his friends to embark on a dangerous journey and ends up attracting the attention of new enemies. Today we're recapping the first season of the series, Knuckles, from 2024. On Planet Mushroom, after being tricked by the evil Dr. Mustache, Knuckles came to Earth in search of a magic emerald and started a fight with Sonic. After a few clashes, the pair finally managed to overcome their differences and team up with Tails to defeat Robotnik's giant robot. In this way, Knuckles managed to recover his emerald and save the universe, as well as gaining new friends. Since then, the trio have decided to become roommates and, as the galaxy is no longer in danger, Knuckles' only mission is to relax and enjoy the comforts that Earth offers. However, the Echidna can't be satisfied with this peaceful life and is always looking for action. Seeing some workmen doing repairs on Maddie's house, Knuckles becomes convinced that an invasion is taking place and attacks them. When she realizes that the employees are in danger, the woman immediately goes out to help them and apologizes for what happened, but the men leave in a rage. After the hunt, Knuckles rests in the shade of a tree and Maddie goes to talk to Sonic and Tails, because she knows there's no point in talking to the red alien. At that moment, the woman looks up at the roof and realizes that Knuckles is up there with her dog, so Tails has to go up there to bring Ozzy back while Sonic has a brief chat with his friend. The hedgehog says he no longer needs to act like a warrior and advises Knuckles to enjoy life on Earth. Meditating on these words, the Echidna decides to change his behavior and start living as if he were on his home planet. The next morning, the animal builds a throne and declares itself the head of the family. If anyone wants to take over this position, they will have to challenge it to a fight. When she realizes that Knuckles has turned her living room into an arena, Maddie is furious. Then she discovers that her letter carrier has been captured and treated as a prisoner, which makes her even angrier. After freeing the poor man, Maddie decides to leave Knuckles grounded in the attic and tells him he can no longer act like a warrior. While isolated from the rest of the family, Knuckles has a vision in which he comes face to face with Chief Pachacamac, who asks him what he should do now that he has completed his mission to recover the emerald. At this point, the old man advises him to recruit an apprentice and teach him the customs of his people so that the Echidna tribe can grow again. Knuckles then asks where to find this disciple and Pachacamac indicates Wade Whipple as a candidate. According to the old man, that guy is special and is looking to compete in a tournament of champions to be held in Reno, Nevada. After advising Knuckles to train that man, the ghost of Pachacamac leaves and the Echidna says he won't let him down. Meanwhile, Wade is at the gym trying to prepare for the bowling tournament, which he doesn't even know if he'll take part in. During training, the man is surprised by Knuckles' arrival and reveals that he has been kicked off his team. The truth is that he's been replaced by an 8-year-old girl called Susie, because he's not tough enough to be accepted into the team. Knuckles says he will train him to become a warrior and Wade intends to use this skill to challenge Susie to a bowling match in order to regain his place on the team. While the pair are on their way to the training area, Agent Willoughby is in London, at the headquarters of the GUN agency, watching Knuckles' every move. When she realizes that the alien has left the Green Hills area, the woman finds an opportunity to capture him and sends Agent Fairley to the Mushroom Planet. This way, he won't be able to report the situation to Commander Walters. When he arrives at the bowling club, Knuckles realizes that the place is quite different from what he had imagined, but it doesn't take long before he realizes that he's good at this game too. Suddenly, Willoughby and Mason appear to capture the Echidna and destroy the place. Immediately, Knuckles runs towards his enemies and realizes that the duo are using gadgets that make them as powerful as he is. However, even at a disadvantage, the alien manages to defeat them because he has been trained all his life to be a warrior. During the fight, he walks towards Mason to finish the job, but Willoughby opens a portal in the ground that sends Knuckles into a cage. Then, when the villains leave, Wade realizes that his friend has been captured and decides to take the gun Willoughby forgot at the bowling club to rescue him. After capturing him, the agents take Knuckles to a mansion in the middle of the forest and are followed by Wade. However, before storming the place to rescue his friend, the man decides to go to the convenience store to buy the equipment needed to carry out the rescue. Meanwhile, Knuckles tries to extract information from Willoughby and asks how the woman found out about him. At this point, the agent reveals that she works for an agency that specializes in studying and cataloging alien creatures. Her real aim is to extract and sell Knuckles' power, as he knows that his energy is capable of producing extremely powerful weapons. What the woman doesn't realize is that Wade is outside, about to break into the mansion, and in possession of a pair of gloves that she herself created. While trying to handle them, the man ends up causing an accident and blows up his own car along with all the equipment he bought for the invasion. The noise of the explosion attracts the attention of the agents, who appear on the balcony to see what's going on. Just then, Wade uses the turbines built into his gauntlet to break into the house and Mason goes after him. After grabbing one of the gloves, the agent goes after Wade, as he is tasked with getting rid of the invader while Willoughby keeps an eye on the alien. During the battle, Mason receives a call from his mother and decides to answer it. Realizing that his opponent is distracted, Wade throws ketchup in his eyes and Mason ends up having an accident that causes him to lose consciousness. Wade then goes after Knuckles and throws the gauntlet to destroy the cage where his friend is trapped. Just then, a huge explosion destroys the mansion and immobilizes the enemies, but Wade and the alien manage to escape unscathed. Together, they decide to run off the cliff and Knuckles jumps off with his partner on his back. However, the echidna can't fly and they both end up falling. When they reach the ground, the pair steal a truck to escape and decide to take a break on the way to eat. Just then, Agents Willoughby and Mason wake up and start thinking of a new plan to capture Knuckles. At this point, giving up is no longer an option, as they have already made $1 million deal to sell the weapons. The transaction was made with one of the most powerful criminal organizations in the world, which is run by a man. Therefore, if the agents break the agreement, they will be wiped out. So the only option left is to implement a new capture plan. After dinner, the two friends hit the road again and hear an announcement on the radio that the authorities are looking for Wade. Upon discovering that he is being hunted, the man begins to freak out and realizes that he cannot return to Green Hill. So he decides to pay his mother a visit and Wendy faints at the sight of her son after so long. Despite the scare, she is very happy with Wade's presence, but when Wanda shows up, the confusion begins. Unlike her brother, Wanda feels very satisfied with her job as an FBI agent and belittles Wade for being just a local cop. In an attempt to avoid an argument, Wade changes the subject and introduces Knuckles to his family. At the sight of the alien, Wendy faints again, but then agrees to welcome him into her home. That evening, the woman prepares a banquet to welcome her guest, but Wade and Wanda spend the entire dinner arguing. Furious, the FBI agent decides to go on the rampage and sticks a fork in her brother's arm. Tired of these taunts, Wade gets up and goes to his old room. At this point, Wanda decides to do the same and Knuckles becomes Wendy's only companion. After dinner, he goes to talk to his friend and finds out that his father was a great bowling champion and will be attending the tournament in Reno. Despite being abandoned by Pete, along with the rest of his family, Wade never stopped admiring him and always wanted to get closer to his father. When he was a child, Wade went to the bowling alley with him every Friday and this is his happiest childhood memory. That night, while Wanda is in the living room reading a book, a gang approaches the house. The men have discovered that there is a reward for anyone who captures Wade, so they decide to go after him. However, when one of the guys arrives in the fugitive's room, he attacks him with a chandelier, but the blow has no effect. Then, just as Wade was about to be captured, Knuckles appears and hits the intruder with a punch so hard that it knocks him into the garden. Meanwhile, just below, Wanda is attacked by an extremely skilled guy and is about to be hit when the alien appears. Immediately, Knuckles grabs the chain and makes a counterattack. After taking down the second invader, he walks into the kitchen and helps Wendy attack the other two invaders. Although her house was completely destroyed, the woman is grateful to have her children reunited after so many years and is happy to see her family coming together to take care of each other. The next morning, Wade is confident that all the danger has passed and decides to go out for his coffee. At that moment, he ends up being captured by a mysterious biker, who drags him through the streets of the neighborhood. Seeing his friend being taken away, Knuckles decides to let him fend for himself, knowing that this is an extremely important skill for a warrior. Minutes later, when he reaches an isolated part of the road, the biker decides to stop and Wade realizes that he has been captured by Jack, the leader of his bowling team. The man then uses a stun gun to immobilize the former member of his team and locks him in a cage. When he wakes up, Wade is furious because he can't believe that the guy he considered to be his best friend betrayed him like that. Seeing Wade begging to be released, Jack reveals that he is having financial difficulties and needs the reward money to get back on his feet. Determined to change his life, the man goes to great lengths to get the money he needs to pay off his debts, even if it means locking his best friend in a cage with electric bars and handing him over to the police. While on his way to the police station, Wade comes to the conclusion that there's nothing he can do but wait for Knuckles to arrive, because only the alien can rescue him. Just then, he receives a call from Knuckles and learns that he won't be able to count on his help, as the echidna says that Wade will have to go through this challenge alone in order to become a warrior. During the journey, Jack switches on the cage's power supply to electrocute his prey and Wade ends up fainting. While unconscious, he receives a visit from the chief Pachacamac and soon realizes that this is the legendary leader of the Echidna tribe. Instead of teaching him how to fight, the old man sends Wade into a musical battle against Jack and, after defeating his enemy, he decides to return to the real world because he believes he has found a way out of that cage. However, when he tries to destroy the door, the man ends up being electrocuted again and, once again, is taken back to his subconscious to continue his training. This time, Wade actually finds the answer he was looking for and manages to escape through the roof of the cage. Realizing that his prey has managed to escape, Jack climbs out of his limousine to capture him and Wade challenges him to a duel. After throwing a sword at his opponent, the man gets on his motorcycle and advises him to find a vehicle. When he sees a group of children standing by the side of the road with their bicycles, Jack manages to borrow the vehicle and pedals towards his adversary. As he approaches Jack, Wade attacks him with a sword blow, but the man ducks and manages to survive. However, he ends up losing most of his hair. He then falls to the ground and decides to surrender. After handing over his leather jacket to the winner of the duel, Jack flees and Wade uses his opponent's motorcycle to return home. Seeing his friend arrive with a victorious look on his face, Knuckles feels proud of him and realizes that Wade is ready for battle. After proving himself to be a true warrior, the man proves himself worthy of going to Reno and Knuckles accompanies him on the journey. When they reach their final destination, the pair come across the National Bowling Stadium which, for Wade, is a real battlefield. Upon entering the building, Wade comes across his mother and sister, who have come to watch the championship. Minutes later, the two walk towards the stands and the man goes to look for his father, who is one of the most popular people in the stadium. While Pete is signing autographs for his fans, Wade approaches him to talk to him, but the man doesn't recognize him. However, when the man introduces himself, Pete realizes that he is in front of his son and says that he missed him. When he finds out that Wade is there to take part in the bowling tournament, the man starts laughing because he doesn't believe his son will be able to beat him. Meanwhile, agents Mason and Willoughby are captured and taken to the HQ of the criminal organization to whom they sold the weapons. Just then, an ex-employee who used to work for Robotnik shows up to collect his debt and the agents ask for more time to capture Knuckles. As he still needs the Echidna to complete his new creation, the man decides to release them, but claims that the only payment Mason and Willoughby will receive for capturing Knuckles will be the right to continue living. The Tournament of Champions is about to begin and 32 teams are preparing for the competition. Surprisingly, in the very first round, Wade's team stands out. Despite being proud of his son, Pete never misses an opportunity to show off to the public and demonstrate his brilliant talent on camera. When he hears the fans shouting his father's name, Wade realizes that he has a great responsibility and does his best to try to match his great idol. When the competition reaches the final stretch, there are only 2 teams left and Pete can't come to terms with the possibility of losing to his own son. The grand final will take place the next day, so that evening Wade decides to spend some time with his father. During the conversation, he asks why Pete left and the man says that he had to leave because he was looking for fulfillment. According to Pete, at the time he believed that he would only achieve his goal on the bowling lanes, but today he regrets not having stayed by his family's side. At that moment, father and son hug and Wendy is moved by the scene. However, she knows that by getting close to Pete, Wade runs the risk of being hurt again and tries to warn him. Even so, he decides to give his father one more chance and goes to visit him at his penthouse that evening. Seeing that beautiful apartment, Wade is impressed and accompanies Pete on a tour of the penthouse. However, when he arrives at the suite, he comes across the agents who tried to capture Knuckles and discovers that his mother and sister are being held prisoner. When asked why he has betrayed his family once again, Pete says that there is only room for one Whipple in that town and he doesn't want to risk losing his prestige to Wade. So Pete suggests that his son hand Knuckles over to the agents and drop out of the tournament. Otherwise, Wendy and Wanda will be eliminated. With no other choice, Wade goes to meet his alien friend and lies to convince Knuckles to accompany him to the penthouse. But instead of taking the elevator up with him, Wade says he needs to get something from his room and claims he'll find the Echidna just above. Unable to suspect that his friend is setting him up, Knuckles takes the elevator up, unaware that Mason and Willoughby are waiting for him. When the elevator doors open, the agents start shooting, but Knuckles isn't hit because he was hiding in the ceiling. The truth is that Wade handed one of the headsets to the alien before he entered the elevator and Knuckles heard the entire conversation. Thanks to this strategy, the Echidna was able to prepare for battle and attack enemies with its powerful punches. During the fight, Wade uses the stairs to break into the apartment in order to free his mother and sister. Realizing that he can't defeat the alien even with his partner's help, Willoughby throws 2 rings in its direction to try and transport it. However, Knuckles sends the objects away and at that moment 2 portals open, sucking in absolutely everything around them. To avoid being taken, the Echidna has to cling to the ceiling and manages to save himself. However, Mason and Willoughby aren't as lucky and end up falling into their own trap. After sucking in the agents, The two portals collide and disappear, and Knuckles accompanies Wade to the stadium, because now, more than ever, the alien wants his friend to win the tournament. Meanwhile, the presenters announce Pete's triumphant entrance, as he is confident of winning another trophy for his collection. The presenters then call Wade to the ring, but he doesn't show up. As expected, Pete is announced as the grand champion, but suddenly his opponent arrives on the scene. The man has his heart set on dethroning his father and embarrassing him in front of the public. But Pete doesn't want to be defeated and musters all his talent to win the match. However, Wade is undeterred and proves to be no match for him. Instead of joining the crowd, Knuckles decides to watch the match on TV and suddenly notices a commotion outside the stadium. On his way out, he ends up being captured by a giant robot which, this time, is being controlled by Gary, Robotnik's former employee. While the alien is being thrown all over the place, the tournament is heading towards its final stretch and Wade is only a few steps away from defeating his father. If he manages to get a strike on the next shot, he will be declared the big winner. Despite his nervousness, Wade makes a great throw and manages to knock down all the pins in one go, securing his victory. Just then, Knuckles' body goes through the wall and everyone notices the attack. While the crowd flees in despair, Wade rushes to help his friend. But now it's too late, as Gary manages to suck all the power out of the alien. After getting what he wanted, the man throws the alien's body away and Wade realizes that he is unconscious. Just as the man was about to be eliminated, Wendy and Wanda appeared and handed him a pair of mechanical gloves. With his equipment in hand, Wade throws bowling balls at the enemy. When the balls run out, Gary sees a chance to attack him, but just then Knuckles gets up and grabs the robot's tentacles, sucking all the energy back into his body. After regaining his powers, the alien destroys his enemy's tentacles and, with Wade's help, manages to crush him. At the end of the battle, Wade picks up his trophy and celebrates his victory with his friend while Wanda and Wendy teach Pete a lesson.